Joining us now for more perspective is Eric O'Neill. He's a former FBI counterintelligence and counterterrorism operative and also the author of the book Spies, Lies, and Cybercrime, Cybersecurity Tactics to Outsmart Hackers and Disarm Scammers. This is such a remarkable, right? And I think we've talked about this a lot over the last couple of days, what a remarkable operation it was. As you just heard from the defense secretary, that it was executed flawlessly. You called it, in the break when we were talking, the most efficient and effective espionage operation that you've seen. Why so?
Certainly. So this required the CIA to embed themselves in Venezuela, not get caught, and also work sources within Maduro's close network in order to create an idea of where he went, what he did, who he met with, and most importantly, where he would be when they chose to strike. They had to have him in pocket perfectly. And what amazes me is, one, nobody knew it was happening, including the very astute Cuban intelligence services that were surrounding Maduro. And they were able to use a combination of human intelligence, so recruiting sources, being on the ground surveillance, and cyber intelligence, cyber espionage, to see where he was going to be and to know when to launch that strike. In
terms of, the months and months of planning that went into this, how long it would take to, for CIA operatives to establish, though, that trust to be able to get that information. I believe it was October when the president said he'd authorized CIA action in Venezuela. Did that concern you at all when you heard the president say publicly that he had authorized CIA action somewhere?
Well, as someone who did undercover work and did counterintelligence and counterterrorism and was responsible here in the United States for creating these profiles of people, that raised an eyebrow. Because if you're an intelligence officer embedded in a foreign country and then the president of the United States is tipping off, hey, we're here, you've got to be even more careful, because then they start looking for you. So not only are you hiding, you're playing hide and seek while they're trying to find you. So even better for the CIA.
What does this tell you in the way that the operation unfolded, how quickly it unfolded? What does it tell you about the focus right now for the U.S.?
Right. Well, right now the focus is on what comes next. That's the most important thing. So the FBI, or the United States and the FBI did what was probably the biggest FBI escort I've ever seen, right? FBI agents go in, part of the hostage rescue team, they're elite FBI with Delta, after the military clears a pathway for helicopters to fly over a foreign country. Now that's incredible in of itself, because they dismantled all of the air defense systems using a combination of cyber and kinetic attacks, then land and arrest the sitting president, who we've never confirmed as legitimate from the United States perspective of the foreign country, and bring them back to stand trial. So here, what comes next? Really the proof is going to be not in the court case with Maduro, but in what comes next for Venezuela. Do they democratize? Are they going to have a fair and open election? Will there be international oversight into the election? And will some of those 8 million people who fled after the regime took power brutally, will they come back to vote?
Yeah, a lot of questions about that, especially as we're even seeing this decree today that is telling security forces in Venezuela to go after anybody who is celebrating the capture of Maduro in Venezuela, right? They're very quiet on the streets as they wait to see, to your point, what happens. You talked about the disabling of the air defense, and also, you and I were talking, and also the fact that they took the lights out. That was really key to this mission.
That's something no one's really talking about, but so important to me, because I've been saying for quite some time that the United States has to demonstrate that we are able to engage in cyber warfare just as effectively as opposition countries. So China, Russia, Iran, North Korea, they attack us all the time. But I think we've shown with this attack a cyber attack that is combined with a kinetic attack. We turned the lights out in Caracas. We disabled most of their early warning radar and defense systems. That had to be a cyber attack. Now, there's been innuendo. Trump sort of said it, but didn't say it in a very Trumpian way. But I suspect that we launched a very effective wide-scale cyber attack on the country, turning the lights out in Caracas, and then that allowed our kinetic soldiers to move in under cover of darkness.
Eric, it's great to have your perspective, your insight. Thank you.
Thank you, Erica.
Still ahead here, new orders from President Trump to send some 2,000 federal agents into Minnesota on the heels of a welfare fraud scandal. More on that just ahead.